For you, the Radio St. George app on iTunes or Google Play.
Follow us on Twitter at Radio St. George.
Good afternoon. This is KDXI St. George, Radio St. George at 100.3 FM. And we welcome you to Startup Nation. Up-and-coming startups, entrepreneurs, wantrepreneurs go face-to-face with proven business leaders and talk funding, innovation, current business trends, technology, and social media's role in business. And now your host for Startup Nation, Ed Tracey.
What is up, Startup Nation? Ed Tracey here on the big airwaves at Dixie State University. I like the intro.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And Sean Donovan has a great voice for radio. He's got a great face for radio, too. Great guy. Ed Tracey here. This is show number 1 of hopefully many, and I'm very happy to have 2 people that I have a personal fondness for. Of course, Amber Murray, who you know, she has a show here, and we'll talk a little bit about her in a second, and my good buddy Dave Moody, who is the beer king of St. George. And hi, Dave.
Hey, how you doing,
Nice
Ed?
to see you. Amber, how are you?
Pretty good, thanks.
You're looking great. So it's so funny to see you on that side. Because whenever I come, Amber's on this side of the table doing her show. And let's talk a little bit about, well, first of all, as you know, I'm heavily involved in Street Fest. Street Fest, we had our first one March 1st. We had a huge success. Dave is the sponsor of our beer garden out there, so I'm going to give a shameless plug. April 5th is the next one. We had over 10,000 people for the first one.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of
Good
beer
job.
drinkers. They didn't all drink
that
beer
is.
because that would have.
Yeah, we sold a little root beer.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah.
You did. But we sold, I don't know how much beer out there. And if you've not been out to the brewery, we're going to talk about it here at length. But Dave was the sponsor, Silver Reef Brewery, of our beer garden. And we had, man, so many people out there. It was great. And Amber, I know because the first time I ever met Amber, she was Entrepreneur of the Year last year for the Chamber of Commerce. And as you know, I'm a bit of a madman on social media. And there's one person that I see on social media more than me, and it's Amber Murray.
Wow, that's impressive, Amber.
She's like, I'm like, oh, who is this woman stealing all my quotes? So real quick, Entrepreneur of the Year last year, she owns See Your Strength. They do positive message and suicide prevention resource decals. Do you have one there? You want to show everybody?
I do.
Let's see that bad boy.
I'll hold one up.
Look at that. Does it show up backwards like that on film?
I don't know. No, it looks right.
Yeah, it looks good.
Right. Yay.
It's okay if all you did today was survive.
That's
Wow.
right.
Yeah, and it was awesome. So for the Chamber of Commerce Gala, where both she and I were honored for awards, mine was the shyest guy in town.
Naturally.
Naturally, I'm such a shy guy. Here I am on a radio being taped. She gave everybody one of those stickers, and I still have it. And I was honored to get one of those. I was like, who is this lady? And there's, she does decals. And I have to tell you, I didn't realize what it was. Had no idea until that night.
Yeah.
And so you have now, last year you did about 20,000?
20,000 decals.
20,000 decals
Yeah,
to
over 20,000 decals.
schools and universities. And how do you get those out? How do you promote yourself?
You know, honestly, this is going to sound really bad, but I don't do much. I really need to step it up. I do Facebook ads.
A lot of social media.
Yeah, I ran Facebook ads 3 times. 2 times last year, and now 2 times this year.
No, you're talking paid social media ads, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
paid Facebook ads targeting my demographic, which I found great success with these in schools. It was near and dear to my heart to kind of uplift our youth and provide suicide resource numbers in their bathroom. And so I target school counselors and school administrators and generate leads that way, do lead ads, collect email addresses, and it just goes from there.
Yeah, and I, again, credit to you. I had no idea how crazy the suicide rate was here. I came and sat in on a show because I was my training wheels are off today. I came and wanted to learn how to do the show and learn the board and all that stuff. And Amber was here with the principal from Desert Hills High School. And he said there were 2 suicides. At that point, just 2 suicides in the high school there alone. And now there have been how many, you said?
I don't know. I think it's at least 5 so far this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You don't think when you live in a little area. I grew up in New York City. This is a little area to me. Okay, but when you grow up in a small area like this or live in a small area like this, you have no idea that goes on here.
Yeah, well, it's also good to know that it's not just here. It's everywhere. Every day I have school personnel reaching out to me with their stories and with their need for help. I use 20% of everything that I do and 100% of all the suicide prevention resource decals. I use those funds to donate decal packages to schools who've recently lost a student to suicide, a $150 decal package. And last year I did 75 donations.
Wow.
But every day I'm getting emails from schools who have lost students, who've lost multiple students. I've had mothers reach out to me. I've had school counselors who've lost their own children in the school that they were in. It's just everywhere.
How did you get into this?
I was actually suicidal 5 years ago. I've always had anxiety and depression off and on, a lot of PTSD. I had a really, really hard abusive childhood, all forms, and left home at 14. Never graduated high school, made decisions from that feeling of worthlessness and hopelessness. And in this particular time, it just all kind of culminated. I had a new baby. I had a 2-year-old. I had I think 15 and 13-year-old as well. And for me at that time, it just seemed like I couldn't continue anymore.
I get it.
And so I ended up reaching out for help. And that person came over and took the bullets out of the gun, which was a blessing. And that next morning I woke up and looked at myself in the mirror and thought, I couldn't recognize myself. I saw myself in my eyes, but I didn't understand how I got to this place and why I hated myself so much and why life seemed so meaningless to me and why I felt all these feelings. There happened to be a bar of soap laying there. I picked it up and I wrote "Step into your life" across my face on the mirror. And I saw that for 2 weeks. And every time I saw that, I would start thinking well, that's weird. I haven't showered for 3 weeks. I don't know what that means. But after the repetition of seeing it, after about 2 weeks, it dawned on me, step into my life is what I'm doing. It's just put one foot in front of the other, sure. Be honest with your counselor, make these good choices. And from there, I just kept writing on my mirror to myself. And really, that was the one thing that changed my life. People always had told me my whole life, "Oh, you're a cute girl. You got everything. Just love yourself." But nobody ever told me how to love myself.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
They never told me how I could actually rewire what I was saying to myself and learn to talk to myself
Sure.
with compassion and not all those other voices that I had accumulated over the years. And so I found myself working at Dove Center here, the local domestic violence nonprofit.
You found purpose.
I've always worked in that capacity. And I was doing prevention education going into our schools and realized that while I was talking to them about healthy relationships, those are very, very important, but I felt like we needed to take it back a level and talk about how do you have a healthy relationship with yourself? How do you talk nicely to yourself? How do you show self-compassion for yourself? How do you embrace yourself in spite of all the negative messaging that you're getting, in spite of all the things that you could be feeling guilt about or shame about or all of this stuff? And so I decided to take the thing that had helped me so much and turn it into a social business.
And now you've helped, I don't even know how many people. A lot of people.
Yeah. So when I did the last calculation, it's probably closer to over 500,000 students and faculty see these decals everywhere. They're here at DSU everywhere. They're here in some schools here as well, but they're in almost 600 school districts nationwide and universities. So.
And how many different stickers, decals do you do?
I have 50 different messages. I switched some out from fall to spring and everything, and I'm actually working on how I'm redoing them, product development, always, awesome. Trying to figure that stuff out. But 50 different messages, and schools can just pick the ones that they want.
And now you speak to classes, you speak to groups, you're on social media.
Yeah.
I can't get a word in edgewise. I have to call her 3 weeks in advance to talk to her. So, well, good for you. I mean, I'm amazed by everything that you do, and I watch. To me, attention is everything. And you get a lot of attention, and I follow a lot of stuff that you do, and I give you a lot of props.
Oh, thank you.
I have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you.
And Dave.
I don't know if I can even
Dave,
come close
you might as well just go outside, buddy. Just go outside.
Yeah.
Dave Moody is one of the partners of Silver Reef Brewery and St. George Beverages. They do an awesome root beer. And right now they just opened their production facility up there on Enterprise Drive in the Fort Pierce Industrial Center.
Awesome.
And Dave and I met through a mutual friend because at the time and still I'm looking to open a place of my own here. And Dave has got an immense background. I mean, Dave lived in Vegas for I don't know how many years you were down there.
About 30 years.
30 years since he was 2.
Yeah.
Right, Dave?
Yeah.
So, and he came out of finance and banking. He was on the executive management team of a NASDAQ traded bank.
Wow.
On the board of directors for a bank in San Francisco, was the founder of a bank in Las Vegas, in Nevada, CEO and founder. Grew up in Utah, in Delta.
Yeah.
Delta. It's
Little farm
It's not the end of the
town.
world, but you can see it from there.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
and if Dave's like you, Dave is a very, I have to say, very laid back kind of guy.
Yeah.
But he walks into a room and I have to like step back because he knows more people than I do. Dave knows everybody because he grew up here. And he's just good at what he does. So he is partners and has this Silver Reef Brewing. If you've not been up there, it's amazing. They've been open. How long you been open now?
We started production, actually started distributing February 7th.
February 7th.
Wow.
Yeah, February 7th,
Congratulations.
just barely. Yeah, thanks.
And he's great at getting the word out. People love his product, and to do that. And again, props to you because it's Utah. I mean, to be able to do what you do here, this is one of the last conservative strongholds within one of the last conservative states. St. George is very strict on what you can do and where you go drinking. And I get it. That's the way it is. And so you just have to make sure you do things the right way.
And St. George has been great. The
Oh,
city,
that's awesome.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, Washington City, just really appreciate everybody's help. It's been fantastic to actually move back to Utah.
Yeah.
Been a lot of fun.
And you like being back here?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
He says it's colder here because he came from Vegas.
It's cold.
So
My
I won't go
wife
to
and I-
Cedar for that reason.
Yeah,
So
yeah. My wife and I every morning we go, oh, it's cold. We enjoy the summer for sure.
And he's involved. His partners have the largest brewery, microbrewery in Nevada.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they do a lot of stuff down there.
Have a little vineyard.
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and-
They have a vineyard up in Pine Valley.
yeah, on Pine Valley Mountain.
On Pine Valley Mountain.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's a
hidden.
lot of fun. Yeah.
It's hidden. They don't find it up there.
Yeah.
But and you've got production right now. They've crushed already, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bottled,
In fact, our first Chardonnay is coming out within 30 days. So it's
Crazy.
kind of interesting.
So tell me, how do you go from banking to beer?
Interesting. Really interesting. I actually enjoy beer making better than banking, I'll tell you that. It was interesting. In my banking career, I've done business throughout the West United States and even back on the East Coast a little bit. So I've had an experience of seeing how businesses run. And in Las Vegas, we did some gaming and really got a feel for what was going on in Las Vegas and the surrounding states. Did a lot of business in Salt Lake over the years while I was doing business in Nevada. But basically, my partner, as you mentioned, owns the largest brewery in Nevada, and he's at full capacity. He can't really make any more beverages.
And it's a big facility.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a huge facility.
It's a beautiful facility. And we were talking one day, and I was telling him that I was thinking about after my banking career was over, and kind of looking to do some other things. Why looked at moving back to Utah, and because my wife and I are both from here, from the state, and just really enjoy St. George. I actually looked at moving back to Provo. I went to school up there, and
There's schools in Provo?
yeah,
I
there's
didn't know
a
that.
couple of
I
them,
didn't know that.
and I went up there and stayed for a week, just kind of looking around. It during the middle of the winter, and I just thought, oh, there's no way I can move back to the snow.
I grew up in New York. You
So-
can keep the snow.
Yeah.
You can keep the snow.
So, and then the valley is just so beautiful here. Washington County and the surrounding areas. Kanab, I love Kanab. Just a lot of different it's growing so strong here that we just decided to come back to St. George. And, with the vineyard just, 20 miles outside of St. George, why we decided to, make this our home. And it's been great. Really enjoyed it.
And right now, you had your first production in February, and you're in about how many bars and restaurants right now?
It's in southern Utah, knocking on 30 restaurants now.
That's
and,
really awesome.
and in 60 days, coming on,
that's
coming
about
on.
that's about
awesome.
half. Wouldn't you say? I mean, for down here,
Yeah.
there's not many down here, obviously.
Yeah.
And so to get there, and a lot of that is just getting out there, knocking doors, talking to the right people.
Yeah, and everybody supports the local, everybody wants to try the local
Sure. The local
company.
brew.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been just great. And our root beer, I think, is some of the best root beer around. My brewmaster probably, he's not, he loves the root beer too, but I like it better. It's a lot of fun.
And Mike, his brewmaster, good guy, came from Gordon Biersch.
Gordon Biersch ran 5 breweries for Gordon Biersch in the West United States, and managed those 5, and we were just lucky to have him. And we actually gave him the opportunity to either live in Las Vegas or St. George, and he had run the St. George Ironman a few years back, and said, I'd love to come back to, I'd love to live in St. George. So that's he's moved here with his family, his beautiful family, and then he had an assistant that helped him brewer out of Los Angeles that he brought here also, Corey. And
good guy.
Yeah, been just, they both have really enjoyed
And his dog.
coming here. Yeah, and his dog.
The dog is really the brewmaster.
Yeah, Coop. You
He's
better watch
there
out. Coolidge.
He's
Come
there.
out. Yeah, you'll love it, Amber. Coolidge is a good-looking dog, good-looking dog.
He doesn't move much,
No.
but his heart's in it.
Yeah.
It's my kind of dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stay. Okay, good. You'll
Yeah.
stay there all day.
Just
Yeah.
be pretty.
So what you do, this is where what I try and do with this show is find 2 people that maybe can find some way to compare notes. Okay? You're in a business that's very unique, obviously, and you want to find out how to scale what it is that you do. So basically take what you do and easily duplicate it. And you don't have to be there to be able to duplicate it. Much like beer. I mean, you're taking what you do, you're not there all the time, but that's something that brews 24/7, and you're taking it and putting it into mass production.
Correct, yeah.
Right? Matt,
Yeah.
you're putting it in different places. So how easy is that for a brewery? I'd imagine it's got to be fairly easy because you don't make money unless you do that.
Correct, yeah.
Right?
We have to brew beer. There's no 2 ways about it. And we're, our main point is through our distributors.
Right.
First of all, you got to have a good product.
Right.
Your product's got to be class A, number 1. Kind of like your message, Amber, that you've got to have a good message. We've got a good beverage. And so we started distributing in southern Utah, and we'll move into northern Utah and central Utah here shortly. Within probably the next 60 days, we'll start moving into, the Wasatch Front. And it's really been a lot of fun because we know a lot of the breweries up in Salt Lake, and they've really, very positive with us, and, moving from our beer and up on the Wasatch Front's going to work out real well. And then we are also going to be distributing. We're just working on that right now to distribute down into Nevada. Right. And then ultimately we'll go into California and, Arizona and Idaho, just as we, progress and move our beverages throughout. But we'll start canning our beers and moving it into grocery stores and convenience stores and restaurants that way too. So it won't only be kegged, but it'll be canned beer.
And I'd imagine, particularly since it's Utah, there's a lot of legal issues with making sure, you got a certain percentage of alcohol by volume. You can't take it over, state lines.
Yeah. Everything's done through distributors. Everything's
gotta be
followed, to the T. A lot of legal issues. You can't just...
A lot of permits.
Yeah, everything. I mean, I think by the time I get done with the next round,
Just to have a beer.
yeah, with the next round of licenses, I think I'll have somewhere close to 8 to 10 liquor and beer licenses, and distillery. I mean, it's just amazing.
Federal, state, county, city.
Yeah, correct. Everywhere you turn, and I see it because you need to have that regulation there. You need to protect, not only your product but also the the consumer. Make sure that everything's done correctly.
Sure.
So I'm used to that with the federal government and the banking regulation.
Oh, that's true. I never
dealt
even thought
with
of
that my whole life.
A lot of federal stuff.
Oh yeah, and the state, and local. So it's kind of what I've done my whole life. I can't say I look forward to it, but I actually enjoy having a conversation with.
Well, and you're good at talking to people. I mean,
thank you.
He's not a very. I'm sure he stresses. There's got to be days where he goes, "Man, if I was a pharmacist or a garbage truck driver, I'd be so happy right now." But you gotta keep your cool, and you do.
Yeah.
I gotta say, on the outside, you keep your cool. I mean, you've only cried on my shoulder once or twice.
Yeah,
it was an awkward moment.
Yeah.
So, and Amber, you obviously, you're kind of a start-at-home business, I would imagine.
I still am working out of my home.
Still at your house.
Still manufacture.
You
all
make
the
all of those
decals.
all yourself.
Yeah. Bootstrap the whole thing, single mom, 24/7.
Bootstrap coming out of your pocket.
Coming out of my
pocket.
pocket.
That's what that means,
Yep.
boys and girls. It's all yours.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to get funding or ever done like a Kickstarter or GoFundMe?
I haven't really. Early on, I was approached by a couple of investors and ultimately decided to not go that route. It was before I had really even sold anything, but they saw the value in what I was doing.
Gotcha.
And I didn't really know them that well either. They were great people, but I felt I needed time to see what I could do on my own first. But that leads me to where I am at now. I'm kind of at this crossroads with it where actually I'm contemplating taking on a partner, taking on a loan, taking on investors, doing something to get it to this next level. I feel like I've, poured my heart and blood, sweat, and tears into it up until this point, and I've done a really great job. But I need some help with the next level, and also
what's the next level for you? Where do you want to go with it?
I would like it to be in all schools. I've started creating lesson plans every month for schools to have activities to go with it. I did an inspirational video, which I want to do a lot more of those. Do
you make your own videos?
I had somebody help me with that video who did some work for the piano guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know the things I can do and strong at, and I know the things I need to get help with, and I just really feel like I'm at the point where I need to get help, where I'm tired of being in my home all the time. It's been 18 months.
How many kids do you have?
2.
Yeah, I'd be tired
well, I have 4. I have 4 kids. I have a 21-year-old, 19-year-old. They're out of the house.
Girlfriend,
though,
I feel your pain.
So I have
a
I have a 6
we
and
feel
7-year-old.
your pain.
Yeah. I have a 6 and 7-year-old. So more than that, I think it's really easy to not be as self-disciplined as you are when you just get up and go somewhere to work. When you're at home, it's kind of like how the dishes are never done, work is never done. So you're balancing like, I want to take a nap versus
and you don't know when to stop and you don't know when to start because you're there,
Exactly.
Trust me, I've worked out of my house before, and working in your boxers is not all that great, let me tell you, because like you say, there's no distinction between work and play sometimes.
And you get lonely. I mean, in all honesty, you're there alone a lot and in your head, and while you're doing great things, you feel like, oh man, I miss having coworkers or people around or somebody to share this journey with. Because I get an email from, this week I got an email from a counselor with the New York Department of Education, and they said, here's how to become a vendor so you can get in all the schools here in New York City.
Right. And
nobody understands what that means. I don't have, somebody next to me going like, yes, and now let's do blah, blah, blah. So,
So if you, as somebody that's been in business for a long time and been in banking, what kind of advice can you give to her that would help somebody that's starting out, working out of their house, wants to go to the next level, scale what it is that she has? Because that's truly, really what you do. If you could do that and not have to be there all the time, match made in heaven. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, I wouldn't even mind being there all the time. What I would love to get to is where I'm not taking all of the profits from it and living off of those, because it limits the ability to put the profits back into the business. You know, money comes in, and yet I've got bills and groceries, and kids need new clothes and car payment and, you know, all of those kind of things. And while we live really cheaply, to be able to just know that the money that's coming in could just be used for more advertising, for
Sure.
more materials, for more production would really, you know, and that's where I'm at this point.
Should I buy more Facebook ads or should I get hot dogs for the kids?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dave, you've been there. I know you've been there,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, I mean, starting this business,
Oh,
it's taken
man.
a lot. So Amber, yeah, my hat's off to you. I mean, that's a lot of
I'm
work.
glad you understand.
Yeah, you know, probably the first thing is to set up.
We're going to take a quick break here, do a couple of station identification, sponsors, and all that stuff. But stick around.
I can't wait to hear this answer.
I can't wait to hear it too. I forgot we do this in the middle here. It's Startup Nation, everybody. Stick around. We'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Hola, I am composer Elvio Barilari, host of Fiesta. Join me for LP Treasures. This week, we dig through our old LPs and find rare and adventurous recordings of Latin American music by the Louisville Orchestra under Maestro Jorge Meister. Next on Fiesta.
Fiesta, Thursdays at noon on Radio St. George 100.3. Hey, you know Bucci? I know Bucci from JL Auto Connections. Bucci just hooked up Radio Dixie with a sound system for our golf cart. Yeah, he did that. Custom audio installs and video and security for your vehicle. He does that too. And after doing this for 34 years, Bucci knows that custom personal touch for your car audio at JL Auto Connections, 990 North, 1400 West in St. George.
Enjoy the Collector's Corner, Mondays from 11 to 1 on Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
We welcome you back to Startup Nation. Here's your host, Ed Tracey.
Oh, look, they're hugging over there. Oh,
Hey, let me tell you something. Amber's doing some fantastic.
I love this girl.
Oh, I
tell
do
you,
too. I
her
just
heart is in it.
yeah, and it's such a. I mean, I like doing what I do. Don't get me wrong, but there's a soft place in my heart for what Amber does. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's such a problem right now in our society. I mean, I talk to it with. I mean, I'm a grandfather, you know.
Wow, you are old.
Yeah, I'm an old guy, and with my kids and stuff. And
We're
I don't
the same age. We're
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
He just looks younger.
Yeah, I don't mean to, but what I'd probably do, Amber, is and I don't want to make it sound like too simple or what. The way it sounds like how you started your company, you got a great idea.
Right.
I mean, there's no two ways about it. Having a great idea and having quality is number one.
That's how they start.
And you've got a good market.
Right.
I mean, obviously, going out to the number of schools and 500,000, I think you mentioned.
That see them.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it's just amazing to do that in a year and a half is amazing to me. What I think would probably be something that you could do is take a couple hours someday and just write down and say, okay, what is my budget? What does it cost? I mean, I don't want to make it sound too simple. You've probably already done this, but I know that whenever I go to start something, I go, okay, first of all, you've got to have a passion for it, which Amber does.
She does.
And there's a market for it, obviously. So you look at that. And then you just sit down and you say, okay, what's it going to take this to a level to where I can make a living off of it and make it profitable because it's funny when I get with our COO at the, he's always going, I've never seen a pro forma not be good, but you do a pro forma, and a lot of them fell because they're not realistic.
Right.
So basically, just break it down and say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. This is I want to hit a revenue or sales of this amount. Sure. And this is how much I need to, it'll cost me, and this is going to be my profit. I mean, it's simple.
Yeah.
But when you start breaking it down like that, and then you start saying, okay, if I hit this revenue, and this is what insurance and taxes, because believe it or not, we all have to pay insurance and taxes no matter what. There's those things that you've got to do. Necessary
evils.
Yeah, and so you just break it down, and it's funny because today I was with our fellow who's helping us, our guy who's helping us with the wine. Right. And today, he said, "Hey, David, I've got an opportunity to buy some more grapes." And we just broke it down, just like what I just said to you, Amber. Mm-hmm. We said, okay, well, we can buy, how much can we sell wine for? And it works that way in any business.
Sure.
What's it going to cost us? And what can we sell it for? And is it worth the effort for what we're going to make? And, it was really interesting. It took us about a 15-minute conversation. We said, yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth our effort to go through this, because we've both been up and down the ladder a few times. But somewhere where Amber's at, I mean, and like I say, I don't want to make it too simple, and I would be glad to help. I mean, I know, I love you.
Thank you.
We'll awesome. We'll sit down and we'll have you come over to our house. My wife. Yeah, I mean,
don't stare the dog. Don't stare the dog in the eyes. That's what I'm saying.
Can I bring my kids and leave?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, we'll get them in with the
help.
We'll get them in with the grandkids. Yeah, for sure. But it sets it down to where I can just help you set up. Where you just say, okay, this is where I want to be. Right. This is what it's going to cost, and this is what I've got left. That's pretty simple, but it's really the basis of any, let's see if we can make this thing work.
Right. Sure. I mean, if you love what you do, to me, that's half the battle. You love it. Sometimes you're like, I don't need to make money because I love what I'm doing. I love what I do.
Right.
It doesn't always make money. And so at some point you go, well, I need to eat. So, I got kids to take care of. I need a life. I have to have some sort of goal, because it's all about goals, and it's just different levels. You get to this point, you get to the next point, you get to the next point.
Right.
And when you finally look back, you're like, holy cow, I did all that stuff, and it's just being able to visualize where you want to go with it. And sometimes it's just having somebody that has been there,
that
can take it to the next spot.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it is profitable. My problem is that it's profitable for one, you know? And so in order to make it more profitable, I need that infusion now, or the ability. So I've actually been looking at taking a job just so that I can not touch the money from the business. And then the other part of me says, that's silly. Just get an investor. You have a great business here. The profit margins are really great. Like, you have it all in place. But I never know when that moment is, or what that's the navigation I've never traversed before.
And you went to Product Power Up. Atwood Innovation Plaza had the Product Power Up conference, which we were both at.
Yep.
And there were guys there, Tayson Whitaker. He made, he's young. He's like 26 years old. He's had his business for, I don't know what, 7 years, and he's made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Then the other, all these guys, they started with just a thought. Oh man, I could totally. He started with a video on YouTube on how to properly zip up your sleeping bag or something.
Wow.
And he made millions. These guys are making millions of dollars, and really, a lot of it is, and I know you heard a lot of what they had to say is that they did crowdfunding, and maybe we should talk a little bit about that. I don't know if you've ever done any kind of crowdfunding in what you do.
I never have. And getting an investor, you just have to be ready to give some of your
piece away.
Yeah,
you got to give a piece of it away,
and some of your ideas. And the nice thing about owning the company, yourself or with a partner that you've got the same goal in mind, you're both on the same wavelength.
Right.
It makes it really easy easier to do business that way, at least for me. But getting an investor is good.
It's a crapshoot at times, though, because you don't know. They may see it as a get rich quick opportunity for them, but it could take you 2 or 3 years to make money, and they don't have that kind of patience. And all of a sudden, they're breathing down your neck. Where are we with this a year later, kind of thing. So, you have to weigh all those things.
And I think the opportunity. I mean, if you're a profitable business, which Amber is, there's an opportunity out there that you could go get a small business loan. I mean, there's
thing I've been considering.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways and I'd be glad to help you with that too. I've got some really good friends that I do a lot of business with that, it'd be kind of fun, to
you just have to
get
give away
involved.
your youngest child.
Yeah.
I love her so much.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's my population.
Yeah. So
It's magic to me.
but it is kind of, I mean, if you can get a loan and keep control, that's just my point, instead of having to give it to an investors or, VC guys.
All you have to do is pay it back.
And they have, there's always a vehicle or, that you can use to get money and do it. You just have to understand what the consequences are, to be able to, if you got to pay it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, yours is obviously a more brick and mortar type of business.
Correct.
Yours is a product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever met anybody that's done crowdfunding? What's your thoughts on crowdfunding?
You know what, man, Ed, I learn something new every time I'm around you. Crowdfunding. I make beer, buddy.
I know, right?
What's crowdfunding?
So,
Tell me what it
Kickstarter,
is.
Indiegogo.
Sure. Yeah, and I understand that. The interest rate.
I love you, Dave.
Yeah, the interest rates a lot of times can,
Well, yeah, and sometimes if you don't raise all the money, you don't get it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a, and you're giving
But then it builds awareness, as you know. I mean, these people now know about your product.
Right.
Maybe you don't get the money, but maybe somebody that was going to loan you the money that couldn't because you didn't reach your goal now is your friend and maybe will help you. I mean, there's other opportunities, but
I mean, it really gets to the point of how much money do you need, and that's where actually, that's where I would like to take that's where you want to see is what kind of a budget are we working with. That's where I get back to the simple side of it. Mm-hmm. Look and see what kind of the budget that you're looking and what you want to, where you want to end up.
right.
And that's where you see what's the best financial vehicle to attach yourself, or to go after.
Right.
Because you can go out and you can find people who will invest money in you, invest money in your company, but you just want to make sure that they're the type of person or the entity that you want to.
It's a relationship.
You want to do business. Correct.
You want to find the right relationship.
Correct. I mean, but yeah, Amber, I'd love to. You just let me know, and I've got a couple of friends that they actually live here in southern Utah.
Right.
That would love to introduce you to him, and we do he does a couple of funds right now that very successful. So it'd be it'd be kind of interesting to see what takes place. That's what I've enjoyed about banking is that I've gone all the way from guys that have done $1 billion deals down to $10,000 deals, and what's crazy is sometimes the $1 million deals are easier to put together than the $10,000 deals. I mean, it's amazing. Just sometimes it's the sophistication that a person we get back again to what your goals are. Most people, Amber, aren't in your spot where they're profitable from where you're at right now,
and especially so quick.
Yeah.
No,
I
consider myself really lucky and blessed. But I've also had other businesses, so I feel like my whole life has been kind of culminating to this business. But
a lot of people don't have that ability, and honestly, they don't have the. What you're doing, and what you're doing right now, the world needs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Big time.
no two ways about
Big
it.
time.
The world needs this. The United, our state needs it. Everybody needs it.
Right.
It doesn't matter where you're from, or everybody's been touched by this.
Sure.
There's-
And this
there's-
is a small area. Imagine, major cities.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the sheer percentage.
And so I think you've got a really good opportunity. It'll be interesting to, once we do get together and but a lot of people come to me and they go, "Oh, I've got this idea." Man, you've already done the idea.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, you're already rocking and rolling. And you're profitable.
And one of I wouldn't say it's a problem. One of the great things I have is more ideas around this. So this is a line that I have for schools. I'm going to create a line for homes as well.
Sure.
That are like colorful and that are reusable. So parents can buy a
very
kit
cool.
for like
Oh, yeah.
graduation or encouragement or birthday. And they
Yeah.
have things to stick on their mirror that they can rotate out and collect and, that whole.
I think that's fantastic. And, there's so many things I want once we get done.
Sure,
I want
I
to
get
go,
it.
okay, how are you doing? How are you? I mean, because I mean, it's, I understand working on your own, because when I've done a couple of different businesses, I've sat in an office by myself for a year,
Sure.
putting things together.
Sure.
And then you finally get there and it's, wow,
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun. So, there's heartbreak too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
there's both sides of it. But basically, I think that it'll be kind of fun to see what we can do. Sorry, Ed, I didn't mean to talk.
I
so
love
much.
this. I love it, Dave.
You know.
I will say I would consider you lucky because you are. We're both single. We don't like being single sometimes, but you don't have to come home and listen to somebody say, "When is this going to open? When is this going to?" Right? I've seen his wife in action, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"How's it going?"
Yeah.
So, it's tough.
David, why isn't this beverage in this restaurant? Well, what's going on here? Yeah,
But on the other
exactly.
hand, though, I feel like not that like the whole being
No,
single
I
and you
get
have
it.
to have a marriage or something to accomplish this, but having a person that is kind of walking with you
Support you,
alongside
bounce
and
ideas
pushes
off
you
of.
when you need
Right.
it to be pushed.
You can do it,
know?
honey.
Yeah, and then also
For a
hugs
nominal
you when you
fee,
need
I will
to
come
be.
over your house on Saturday morning, mow the lawn, and walk up to the door. You can do it, honey.
Come on,
That's the
Amber.
kind of relationship I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And then I can leave.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting. I do want to introduce you to a couple of my guys that I do business, a couple of people that I do business with. It's just not guys. I've got a couple of my wife's friends that are, I want to introduce you to, because I think you've
He's
just
never
gotta-
said that to me, by the way, which bums me out.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ed.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, but yeah, let's, you got a great opportunity.
Oh, I think so. I think she's on
So-
top of the world. Right?
So with your brewery and then getting it into all of the restaurants and so forth, do you have salespeople? Do you do it
Yeah,
yourself?
right now I'm doing it myself here in southern Utah, but we are, as we expand, I mean, even though we've spent millions of dollars, I mean, that's what, we've spent millions of dollars.
Just the
We still have
tanks.
a budget. Yeah, we still have a budget, and I watch it very closely. Sure. And if I can save, so I go out and I knock on doors every day. I mean, there's no two ways, and I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting people. And it's kind of probably the same thing you do. You enjoy getting that email from that New York State education.
Yeah.
And it's you just want to have somebody that maybe can take a little bit of the pressure off of you, that you go, yeah, that's a great email, but oh no, now what have I got to do? Does that make
What did
sense?
I get myself
Yeah.
into?
Does that?
Yeah. Sometimes I get that.
Yeah, and so sometimes you wake up at 3:00 in the morning, you go, "Well, man, I'm all alone. How are we going to get through this?" And I understand that,
Yeah.
because you have to just keep. I enjoyed what you said, one step in front of the other, because you have to do that,
Well,
no matter where you're at.
Do you notice? I mean, so you have this history of a lot of success and everything. Do you find that people look at you and they just think, "Oh, that came so easy to you"?
No, you know what? I've had success, but I've also been knocked down.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of my best, and I hope you don't mind me bringing
No,
him
I
up,
love it.
but
Go
Rudy.
Rudy.
You know, Rudy from the movie Rudy, and Amber, you got to go watch that.
I
and
know,
also
I will.
watch on, you know, get on Amazon Prime because he just came out with a new documentary. But it's amazing that, you know, I met Rudy a few years back, and the way he is on the movie, he's in real life. And what's interesting is that you get knocked down, but you know what? That song, you get back up
Oh, yeah.
again.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody gets knocked down.
Sure.
You know, you gotta just get
More
back
than once.
up. Yeah. and really, I think that's where you find success, because I don't know of anybody in all the years I've done business who hasn't lost or been defeated or been knocked down
Or felt like giving up.
yeah,
Right.
giving up. I mean, believe me, you know,
Yeah.
I've been there. You know,
I struggle sometimes because this business is so closely aligned to myself and my
Sure.
story. It's taken me a long time to put a boundary or divider in place that just because I might get a no somewhere, like I approached In-N-Out to get them in their bathrooms, you know, and all of the in and outs. And that was a good conversation we had going. They took it to one of their team meetings and came back and said, we're not going to do it this year, but get back to us next year. And that, like,
sure.
learning that it's not
And yet
about
your
me,
past propels
know?
you, I think, to do that much better.
Yeah.
The fact that you have that correlation, that relationship with it, makes it that much more
Yeah.
important, that much more powerful.
But I think the thing for entrepreneurs maybe out there listening who are just starting out is that I don't think a week really goes by that something like that doesn't happen, where I could just stop because it feels like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. What if working through that, now that period to work through has shortened dramatically,
Sure.
you know, a couple hours, where before it would be like a day of my brain monkeys going, maybe this isn't the right thing, maybe you know, on and on. But yes, that resiliency, not just in life when you get knocked down, but in your business when you get knocked down, to still say, it's okay, I can do this.
Yeah, I agree totally. I'm picking up a lot of stuff from you. You know,
I
monkeys
like
in the
this.
brain.
Yeah.
I mean, I call it fog in the brain.
I call them my monkeys.
Do you? You
Yeah.
call it your
Monkeys
monkeys
in the brain, yeah.
You know, because you know, I really like what you're saying. I think there's a really good, you know, with what you've got going, there's a really good opportunity of taking this even further than. And I'm just. You know, when we get together and, you know, we see exactly what it is.
That's the thing. Like, I see it in my head. And from day one, I did. I left my job at the Dove Center, and I love them all so much. But after the fact, some of them, you know, came to me and said, we were really nervous when you left that you're going to go sell $5 decals and you're not going to be okay. And I said, I see the big picture. I can see it. I can taste
I'm
it.
going to
I can
go
touch
sell
it.
$2 million $5.
Yeah.
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 It's just okay, I've done great this last 18 months, and getting to that next step and what that then looks like, you know? I mean, I guess in honesty, just talking out loud, I didn't know how I was going to get to this step. Like 18 months ago, I would have never been able to tell you I'd be Entrepreneur of the Year, and I would have sold over 20,000 decals, and I'd be in all these schools, and I'd have schools asking me to come speak to their schools.
Did that help when you got that award? Did that kind of put you out there in front of a lot of people?
It didn't help sales.
Right.
It helped my confidence in a weird way, because when I got the
Sure.
award, I was really like, me? Really?
I
You know,
get it.
why me? I'm just over here, just out of my house making these decals and stuff. And everybody around me kept telling me, Amber, you don't understand. For a business to be able to do what you've done is really incredible.
totally.
And so I've been able to kind of, I think, finally settle into that confidence a little bit better. So confidence-wise, it was a big boost. But you follow me on social media.
I do.
I'm not one that, I don't feel comfortable like tooting my horn.
But I
about
love what you
things.
put out there. I love what you put out there.
So.
And like I said, it helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we got about 3 minutes. Any last minute advice for each other? Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to say? I know we're the three of us, at least the two of you, are gonna get together and we're gonna make
but
magic
let's,
happen.
Yeah,
here.
let's Ed. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, Dave.
For sure.
Dave Moody.
You know,
You do
I
no
really
wrong.
do.
Silver Reef Brewing Company. It's up there on Enterprise Drive. If you haven't tried Agua del Diablo, Mexican lager,
Yeah.
Fresh and Juicy,
Uh-huh.
which is the kind of citrus IPA. And what's the other one? I forget the other
Color
one.
Country Red.
Color Country Red. And that's a
Belgian
red ale.
M.
Belgian.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
can you just go to the brewery and
Nah, not
have
right
drinks,
now.
or-
We're just getting that. We're just getting that set up. We're just basically I set up a distribution center. We're just manufacturing, and now with the support that we've received, we decided we're going to build a restaurant and
Yep.
bar out at the brewery and have an indoor.
And you'll never see me
outdoor.
again.
That
Yeah.
is so nice.
Indoor, outdoor, and you know,
That'd be great.
like I say, we'll have some great food, some
Oh, that'd be
entertainment.
nice. We could
You
use
know,
that.
some nice, some nice, good food.
Sure.
It'll be fun.
I love what you're doing up there, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
and like I say, Amber, anything that we can do, love to help you.
And what's your website? sgbev.com.
sgbev.com.
And
Yeah.
that's for the root beer. That's
Yeah.
for the beer, for the
Yeah.
brewery.
And you can get, like I say, you can get our beverages all over Zion's, Cedar City.
Brightly colored beer handles. You can see them.
Yeah,
in just about
looks
every-
like Utah. Silver
does.
Reef Brewing Company. Yeah.
And Amber Murray, what is your website? See Your Strength.
.com.
.com.
Or you can find me Facebook/See Your Strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any See Your Strength. If you Google it, it'll pull it up.
Yeah. And again, Silver Reef Brewery. Where are we? There we are. Silver Reef. Of course, he brought the ones that don't fit me. So
Amber can take this.
Amber, here
Yeah,
you go. These will
Amber.
fit you.
Yeah.
I got some swag.
Yeah, you
There
can
you
have
go.
the
Some
hat.
swag.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and there you go. I'm not a hat wearer, so
That looks good.
And that shirt
Good.
fit me when I was 8, I think.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is not.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, you guys. I really,
Yeah,
really
thank you.
appreciate you coming. This was awesome. You know, it's hard when you have the type of business that you have, you go, how can I get two people together that could help each other or benefit from each other? And really what you do is very scalable, and yours has the potential to be massively scalable. Just got to get the right people together. And so hopefully this, did it for you guys. And
Congratulations on your first
hey,
show.
thanks.
Yeah,
This is
way
my
to go,
first
Ed.
one.
Wow.
You know,
You did it.
Crazy.
I'm still alive. If you've not seen me, you can find me at Ed Tracey Live on Facebook. Of course, we have the YouTube show SG Live, which we do on a regular basis. And or go to any fundraiser in this town, and I'm the guy in the tux doing the public auctions.
And the emceeing of everything.
And the
and the
MC
jokes.
And the jokes of everything.
Yeah.
Amber Murray, Dave Moody, thank you so
Thanks.
much. You guys are
Ed.
awesome. And we'll be back next week with
Woohoo.
Startup
All right.
Nation, everybody. See you
Thanks.
next week. Yay!